So today is like a recipe day, I suppose, but it's also like a test day and also maybe a business building day. It's a lot of days, and so that's cool and weird and fun. I really do like it when all things sort of collide onto, one video. It's very cool, and the reason why it is colliding is because I got lots of questions about a process that I gave you guys a few months ago at this point, and so I thought, hey, let's test a different way to do this and show you the results. So that's what we're doing. I'll tell you more about what it is that we're doing in just a minute, but before I do, hello, I'm Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudzers? Welcome back to the channel. You were at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things, and you were here for day 256 of 365 days of soap. Today, as I said, is a recipe day, and a test day, and a business building day, and just a cool day, just in general. Now, what we are doing are shower steamers, and I have, again, given you that recipe before, but one of the biggest questions I was getting in that video was from people asking me why I don't melt down my menthol and instead just crush it up and put it as part of the batch. And I thought, there's a reason why I haven't done that or why I don't do that, but I don't remember what it is. So let's go ahead and go to the video and show you the process and see if it's any different than doing it the other way, in the video, and we'll talk about everything there. Okay, so first up, we are going to start with the Melty Bits. The Melty Bits are going to be the menthol that I usually crush up and put into the batch as a dry ingredient and just disperse throughout. I received so many questions about why I don't melt down the menthol, though, that I thought, let's try it. So first up, the original recipe that I gave you was between 1 and 2 tablespoons of melted or of crushed menthol. Now, because these are not crushed, we're going to need to be putting more of the uncrushed version in. How much more? I don't know, I'm guessing. And so ultimately what I ended up doing was about 2.5 of uncrushed tablespoons of the menthol into a Pyrex or another microwave safe container. And then I put the total amount needed for the oil, the sunflower oil in this recipe, in with the menthol. And then I put it into the microwave for 30-second bursts to melt it down until it was completely melted and oh so very hot. But I really do recommend putting in the oil into this when you're melting this down. Okay, and while the menthol is melting down, I'm going to prepare the dry ingredients. And I'm also going to take this opportunity to give you the recipe. Ready? Okay, so for this recipe, which I have doubled up here, so try not to let that confuse you, I put in 2 cups baking soda, 1/2 cup cornstarch, 1/2 cup Epsom salts, and at the very end, to cover all the dry ingredients, I put in 1 cup citric acid, but I don't put that in yet. First, I put in my liquid ingredients. I do 1 tablespoon of eucalyptus and 1 tablespoon of whatever other essential oil that you want them to smell like or scent, fragrance. I do prefer to use essential oils in this though. for all of my steamers. And then 1.5 tablespoons of not crushed menthol to 1.5 tablespoons of sunflower oil or any other lightweight oil that, again, we put in with the menthol to do the melty melt bit. Now I am going to separate these out and measure them out to make sure that each of these buckets gets the same amount, but it doesn't really matter because I mix them all together anyway. Anyway, how did this differ from my last recipe? Well, the last recipe that I gave you had a tablespoon of water in it. But because we are dealing with some extra liquidity with the melted down menthol, I didn't want to put the water in. And for the colorants, I use lab colors with this only because I have them. You can use liquid colorants, or you can use micas, or you can use nothing. You don't have to color your steamers. I obviously color these orange because I am using orange essential oil in this along with the eucalyptus. So I want to know that these are my orange steamers. So the only difference between the recipe I gave you before and this one is I'm not including water. This recipe, actually, once I put in that menthol and oil, it was plenty wet to do all of the molding and the things. Now, as I said before, the citric acid I put in at the very end, and I do that for all of my bath bombs. I have done videos on the bath bombs in the past, and anything that includes citric acid, I add absolutely last. In this particular instance, since I removed all of the water from the batch, it might not be necessary to wait until the end. But just for me, for the longer work time, because remember, as soon as that citric acid hits, the baking soda and the citric acid are reacting somewhat ish. I mean, if you don't have any water in it, then I guess your working time is going to be longer. But I don't know. It's just a good habit that I got into, and I really do encourage all bath bomb makers to also get into that habit. Get your scents and your colors and everything mixed up really well, exactly where you want them, and then put your citric acid in very last. Now, the molding process for this is just dump and press, really. And just lather, rinse, repeat with the entire thing. And you really do, when you're working with silicone molds for something like this, for all bath bombs like this, you really do want to make sure that they are very, very firm, that you have them really, really compacted and packed well. Otherwise, they're going to be very fragile when they come out. And so I usually do a couple rounds of just doing the dumping and pressing down, and then I come through with the rest of the bath bomb powder that I haven't used yet, and I've just been kind of moving around the mold to fill everything in and make sure it's all really compacted and all of the steamers are at the top of the mold, so they're all the same size. And so, yeah, it can get messy, and so obviously you work on a clean counter, and then you can just scoop that back into the bowl, all the stuff that's on the counter there, and put it right back into the mold, and it'll be great. You can fill it up and finish up. Now, for silicone molds with these steamers, I have never been able to get them out of the mold in less than like 6 hours. And so usually what I do is I just let them set up overnight, and then I remove them from the mold and put them into a container or, a Ziploc bag or something that's going to keep them fresh. You really want to keep them away from any humidity, anything. Don't just leave them out to their own devices, because they will lose potency, and you don't want them to lose potency. Speaking of potent, when I took that menthol out of the microwave, holy crap, it made my eyes burn, my throat immediately cleared up, my sinuses were just on fire. It was a lot. So if you are at all sensitive to smells, I would work with a mask for this, or just not melt it down at all, because that was very, very potent opening up that microwave. And to be honest, it kind of freaked me out. So let's go check out the finished product here. Okay, and final finished product, we have the ones that we use with the melted menthol, and then I have another there that we used, that I did not use melted menthol. I just crushed them up like I normally do. And turn on your smell-o-vision and see how they smell differently. Obviously, JK. For the record, I didn't notice a difference in smell. And I did notice a difference in fizz, but that's probably because this one is a different, whatever, it's more compacted, the blue one, than the orange. But as far as a difference in smell, I didn't notice it. I also did test these in the shower on different days, and I didn't notice a difference either. But it almost feels to me like just because it was so potent, the, actual in the microwave, I'm almost concerned that I've lost some of that menthol goodness by melting it down. But I don't know. That's probably, I don't have anything to back that up. It was just a gut instinct. But, there it is, the melty version. So there it is, shower steamers using melted menthol instead of just the crushed up powdered version. And, you can go either way with this. As I said in the video, the melting down of it made it very, very overpowering when working with it, for sure. So I would say if you don't wear a mask for absolutely everything you do when you make, you should wear a mask for this, because it's, especially if you're very, very sensitive to big overpowering scents like menthol, because it was a lot, for sure. I do not think that there's much of a difference in potency in the finished product due to the melting, but at the same time, I don't know. It makes it almost seem like it's less fresh in my brain for some reason, melting it down as opposed to crushing it. But I really don't have much of anything to base that off of. It's just a gut feeling that I have. Again, I didn't notice any real difference from one to the other when using them in the shower. So it's probably just me being weird. So yeah, you can do it either way. If you do melt down your menthol, I really do recommend putting in your menthol along with the oil that you're going to be using for the batch, and just do 30-second bursts until it's properly melted. Don't go overboard with the microwave. But we all know how to use microwaves. So there's that. You can totally do it either way. If you guys usually do it with the melting, let me know. If you usually do it by crushing everything up, also let me know. Just come talk to me in the comments. I like that very much. I like being able to interact with you guys. So, to my sudsers who do interact with me all the time, hey, thank you. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being you and awesome humans just across the board. And thank you for being here for another round of 365 days of soap. I'm out of here for today, but I will see all of you guys again tomorrow for another recipe, and a proper one at that, and round of soapy fun. Bye.